If you want to quickly multiply the number of tomato plants that you have, you can easily root your own cuttings, and it's incredibly simple. Whether you just want a few extra tomato plants to plant later on in the season, or to give away to some family and friends, or just to do for fun, rooting your own tomatoes is pretty much a guaranteed success. So this is the process. As you're out in your garden pruning off the suckers of other tomato plants, you simply just take those suckers and put them into water, and within a few days you're going to see roots growing. And these are some tomato suckers that I put in this water 12 days ago, and the roots are already a few inches long. And the cool thing about tomatoes is that if you had the water all the way up to this first leaf, this whole entire stem could potentially grow roots. I actually forgot about them for a couple of days, and so the water got low, and so that's why I only have roots at this bottom section. But on this other one, you can see up a little bit closer, I have some that were growing up a little farther up the stem also. And so you just put the clipping in the water, and before you know it, you're going to have roots. You can also just put the tomato clipping straight into some potting mix. You just want to keep the soil mixture moist and then keep it in the shade. You don't want these directly out in the sun quite yet. And so the way that you'll tell if they have the roots, if they're in soil, is when you have this tomato clipping in the soil, you obviously won't be able to see the roots, which is why I like putting them in the water, because then you can see the roots directly. But if you had it in soil, you would just give the plant a little tug, and if you feel a little bit of resistance, then you know that the roots are growing in. If it just pulls right out of the soil, the roots aren't really quite developed yet, and so you just want to let them be. So now for these clippings that already have some pretty well-established roots, I'm just going to take them and transplant them into some potting mix, and then I will keep the plants out of the direct sun. You want to just keep them in the shade and let them get well-established out of the direct light. But then as they start growing, then you can introduce them to a little bit of light per day, so maybe a couple hours of morning sun, and then you can gradually increase it. Putting them out in the direct sunlight right off the bat is a little bit stressful, so you want to just gradually increase the amount of light that they're getting per day. And then you can just keep on retransplanting them into bigger pots until you're ready to plant them later on, or you could just plant them directly out in the garden. And so it's just a really simple, fun process, and I just love watching the roots grow. I think it's really cool to see how the plants form their roots, and that's why having them in the water is pretty cool, because you can see the process happening. And so whether or not you want to root your own tomato plants or not, it is still important to go out and prune your tomato plants though, especially for the indeterminate varieties. And so if you don't want to deal with the hassle of creating more tomato plants, I would still suggest that you head out to the garden and prune your tomato plants. And if you head to this video right here, I have an entire video walking you through all of the types of tomatoes to prune and the exact process of how to do it. So I'll see you there.